Caden Cowger. Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Caden Cowger program, broadcasting from West Virginia. It's great to have you with us. So you are listening to the first day of the 9th year of broadcasting, going on a decade. My goodness. Crazy. So started this thing when I was 12 years old. Now here I am at 21, entering into my 9th year of broadcasting. Time just completely flies. But I'll tell you what, you have this impeachment stuff going on in Washington, D.C. The Democrats have completely lost their minds. I've been doing this for a long time. Have several years of experience. Going to hit double digits next year. And I have to say that I have never seen this amount of lunacy coming out of Capitol Hill. And that's saying something, considering how loony Capitol Hill is. I mean, you have the Democrats that are just dedicated to removing Trump right now. Nancy Pelosi has completely lost control of the House of Representatives. She's lost control of House Democrats. And she has to know that this isn't good for her party. Now, does Nancy want Trump impeached? Of course. Oh, absolutely. She can't stand Trump. Does Chuck Schumer want him impeached? Of course, he can't stand Trump. But do they actually think that they're going to be able to remove him from office? I don't think that some of your more establishment Democrats necessarily think that. I think some of your AOC wingnuts in the Democratic Party are just set on that. They think that it's just going to happen by some magic wand that they somehow have. I guess they have black magic powers that they can just woo, and somehow Trump's going to be removed from office. I mean, it's really all that they have left, and they have a better chance of just finding a magic wand to bippity-boppity-boo him out of office than winning the election in 2020, because they have just completely created a disconnect between them and the American people. They aren't relatable. They can't even find a good Democratic candidate to challenge Trump in 2020. The only guy that they can find that is even slightly moderate, which it's amazing to me that now we're saying that Joe Biden is a moderate candidate. But that just tells you how far the Democratic Party has gone to the left. But you have Joe Biden that is currently the front runner. He's been going back and forth with Elizabeth Warren. And this guy can't even figure out what state he's in, let alone run a country. And the American people see that. I mean, the big thing that they were saying about Donald Trump when he was running in 2016, is he coherent enough in order to handle the nuclear codes? Now, of course, everybody in the Republican Party said, of course, he's coherent enough. He's built, billion-dollar companies. He has operated a worldwide company with name recognition. It's a household name, the Trump Organization. Of course, he can handle nuclear codes. And we haven't gotten in a nuclear war yet. It's not like he's, selling uranium to Russia. That was someone else. But anyway, I tell you, it's amazing to me, though, absolutely amazing to me, that that's the only guy that they can find to run for the Democratic Party. It just shows you that the Democratic Party is aging. And the younger ones that are stepping up to the plate, I guess you could say, in Democratic Party politics, don't know their head from a hole in the ground. They're uneducated. They pretend that they're educated, but they're uneducated. They are not relatable at all. They're arrogant. They have a bunch of rehearsed lines. They're so arrogant that they talk down to one another like they're beneath them. They say a bunch of rehearsed jokes that aren't funny. They can't even find good joke writers. I mean, it's sad. It's just like Cory Booker. That stupid joke that he made to Biden. Biden is opposes recreational marijuana usage. He wants to decriminalize marijuana, which I oppose. But Joe Biden, because he doesn't support recreational pot usage, Cory Booker said, I heard you didn't want to legalize marijuana. I thought you were high when you said that. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. The only people that laughed are his donors. That's it. If I was a donor to Cory Booker and he gave a joke like that at a Democratic debate, I would stop funding his campaign. This is so corny. He can't win. Mr. Potato Head, running for the presidency. Whatever. Can't even put a good-looking face on. Anyway, so that's who the Democrats have, a bunch of nobodies. I mean, the guy that's in charge of the whole circus seems to have early onset Alzheimer's. Has the appearance of that. Has he been diagnosed? Probably not. Am I saying that he has it? Of course not. Do I think, personally, in my personal opinion, in a non-deflammatory way, think that it's potential? I see some interesting things going on, and I'm sure that you do too. That's why we're all just laughing it off and calling him Crazy Uncle Joe. I mean, Joe Biden, he doesn't have it together. He doesn't have it together, and it is deeply concerning that out of all the people in the entire country registered as a Democrat and equipped to hold political office, that the best that they can do is Joe Biden. That tells you the state of the Democratic Party. It's bad, folks. Absolutely bad. They are just a sinking ship, and they have no one to nominate. They have no one to hold that position. No one to run against Trump that can win, other than Joe Biden. Well, anyway, I want to talk about the impeachment for a little bit, because there's just a whole big rant that I could, of course, go on as it pertains to this whole debate situation. But let's really zero in on impeachment. All right, so Nancy Pelosi earlier today gave a speech talking about how we need to impeach President Trump. Go ahead and listen to dear leader herself, Nancy Insane Pelosi.
In America, no one is above the law.
No one's above the law, except Hillary.
Over the past few weeks, through the Intelligence Committee working with the Foreign Affairs and Oversight Committees, the American people have heard the testimony of truly patriotic career public servants, distinguished diplomats, and decorated war heroes, some of the president's own appointees.
Sure.
The facts are uncontested. The president abused his power for his own personal political benefit at the expense of our national security by withholding military aid and crucial Oval Office meeting in exchange for an announcement of an investigation into his political rival.
Okay, let's stop it right here for a minute. See, she's lying so much that God's taken away her voice. All right, here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi is saying that they withheld aid. Now, according to the ambassador to the Ukraine didn't know that any aid was being withheld. The Ukrainian president has denied that there has been any quid pro quo. There has not been any bribing going on. He was not intimidated whatsoever. I mean, guys, let's really get down to earth here, all right? We have an impeachment proceeding where there is no plaintiff. There's no plaintiff, okay? There's no one saying, I was being intimidated by the President of the United States. He was intentionally trying to withhold aid unless our country would investigate the Bidens. No one is making that claim other than the Democrats. There is no plaintiff other than Democrats that wanted Trump out from the day that he got elected. Okay? I mean, are we seriously forgetting about Maxine Waters, who has been screaming ever since November of 2016, impeach 4 or 5? Okay? That has been the slogan of the Democratic Party ever since he got elected. They don't think he's a legitimate president because they base their elections on the popular vote when the Constitution says, electoral vote. And because they don't want to accept the results of the election, they just have wanted to impeach him for anything. First, they wanted to impeach him for Russian collusion. Then it turned out, it's a nothing burger. So then we move on to Ukraine. Wait a minute. Trump is working with the Ukrainian government to interfere in our election, but then they said he was working with the Russian government to interfere with the American election. Doesn't Russia and Ukraine hate each other? So was he trying to intimidate Ukraine? But if he was trying to intimidate Ukraine and Ukraine says he wasn't, then he must just be willingly colluding with Ukraine and Ukraine must be colluding with, but then there would be no quid pro quo. I mean, guys, they don't know what in the world they're talking about. They're just making stuff up. I mean, literally, we just went from Russia collusion to Ukraine bribery scandal now. It was quid pro quo. They were saying there is a quid pro quo. There is a quid pro quo. But no American understands what the heck quid pro quo means unless you have a law degree or you're in pre-law, okay? Or political science. We know what that is. But it's... So what did they do? They had to go to bribery. Oh, now we can talk about... Because the American people know what bribery means. That's an easy word to understand. I will give you money if you do this. I will give you this if you do this for me. So now they're using bribery, and the president can be impeached constitutionally for bribery. So that's the new word that they're using to try to push this through. And Nancy Pelosi says, I pray for President Trump. Yeah, to Satan. Anyway, here, keep playing it. This is Nancy Pelosi on impeachment.
Yesterday, the Judiciary Committee, the American people heard testimony from leading American constitutional scholars who illuminated without a doubt that the president's actions are a profound violation of the public trust.
Yeah, three liberal Democratic lawyers and one conservative. There was only one conservative in that entire panel. Yeah, so that's not biased at all. Completely unbiased. They just are there to give us their devout, pure legal opinion. Sure.
The president's actions have seriously violated the Constitution.
Seriously?
Especially when he says and acts upon the belief. Article 2 says I can do whatever I want. No. His wrongdoing strikes at the very heart of our Constitution. A separation of powers. 3 co-equal branches, each a check and balance on the other. A republic, if we can keep it, said Benjamin Franklin. Our democracy is what is at stake.
Insert Franklin
quote. The president
quote.
leaves us no choice but to act because he is trying to corrupt, once again, the election for his own benefit.
Oh, okay, corrupt the election. That's another thing I don't understand. You know, I've been covering this ever since they started this Russia collusion thing. What did Russia do? They created troll accounts on Twitter and promoted ads on Facebook? Is that what Russia collusion was? I mean, it's insane, the conspiracy theories that are going around out there. No, you know what happened on Facebook? Conservatives shared a bunch of conservative articles from conservative sites, and they went viral. You know what happened on Twitter? Conservatives created a bunch of accounts on Twitter and took it over. Did Russia have anything to do with it? No. No, they didn't. Did they change any votes in electronic voting systems? No, they didn't. Did they interfere in our election? No, they didn't. Does the United States interfere in other countries' elections? Yes, under the Obama administration, they did. The United States interfered in Israel's election and tried to get Benjamin Netanyahu removed under the Obama administration. The Obama administration also has interfered in Russian elections. So if anybody has interfered in elections, it's Democrats interfering in the elections of other countries. But then if they do it to us, then, oh, no. So if you don't want election interference, then it's probably a good idea not to interfere in other countries' business. But was there election interference? No. Was there enough election interference to change the outcome of the election? No. Nope. Why? Because the only thing that I've heard so far is that they created a bunch of troll farm accounts on Twitter and apparently did the same thing on Facebook. And they were funneling money, I guess, from outside Russian sources to run ads on Facebook. It was a disinformation campaign. Well, what exactly were they spreading that was causing disinformation? That's another thing that no one talks about. What was Russia doing that was disinforming the public? Oh, that's right. They were sharing articles from, I don't know, maybe websites like Breitbart, maybe websites like the Daily Wire, maybe websites like The Hill, maybe websites, from these conservative-leaning websites, the Washington Examiner. They were spreading websites around like CalgaryNation.com. We did well in the 2016 election year. I was surprised how well we did. So yeah, they're blaming all of us because conservative sites were spreading around. It was Russia. Russia was the culprit of this. No, the American people were. And they just can't take it. They can't stand it. Because notice, none of the Democrats will go into the specifics as to how Russia interfered. They just say, we trust the intelligence community. That's it. We place our faith in the intelligence community, so we don't need the specific. Oh, okay. That's totally great. That's all we need. Just the word of a bunch of grand poobahs that don't disclose that to the American people. It's a joke, folks. But anyway, let's keep listening to Nancy Pelosi, who looks like she stole Hillary Clinton's pantsuit. Go ahead.
The president has engaged in abuse of power, undermining our national security and jeopardizing the integrity of our elections.
Integrity.
His actions are in defiance of the
Pot
vision
calling
of
Kettle
our
Black.
founders and the oath of office that he takes to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. Sadly, but with confidence and humility, with allegiance to our founders and a heart full of love for America.
Love for America.
Today, I am asking our chairman to proceed with articles of impeachment.
Oh, no.
I commend our committee chairs and our members for their somber approach to actions which I wish the president had not made necessary. In signing the Declaration of Independence, our founders invoked a firm reliance on divine providence. Democrats, too, are prayerful. And we will proceed in a manner worthy of our oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us, God.
So help us.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats are prayerful over this impeachment ceremony. So they're so prayerful that I've been told by an insider that I think that they sacrificed a goat after that meeting. But anyway, whatever God that was. So this is what Nancy Pelosi is doing now. She is trying to make it out like this whole impeachment proceeding is completely unpartisan. It is not because they're Democrats and they want to get Trump out by any means necessary. Okay, that has nothing to do with it. It's all about being prayerful, and he violated the law, and no one is above the law, so therefore we have to proceed with this. They're trying to literally take out a duly elected president. One little house in Congress, in the legislative branch, is wanting to take out a duly elected president in the executive branch. They know that the Senate does not support this and that the Senate won't support this, yet they are proceeding with these impeachment proceedings, literally wasting money, wasting time, and just trying to create bad optics for the president, when in reality, they are creating bad optics for themselves. Okay? So let's expand on that. Emerson polling found that in October, just 2 months ago, 48% of Americans support impeaching President Trump. 48%. Nearly half, with 44% opposing. Now, are these numbers perhaps legitimate? I guess they could be, sure. We'll just give them the benefit of the doubt, even though many of these polling organizations predicted that Hillary Clinton was going to win as president. Let's just ignore that, and let's just go according to the data that they are collecting. 48% supported impeachment, with 44% opposing it. Now, guess what? Well, here we are in December, and this was actually data collected the following month in November. So November 21st is when this new poll was released. And they found that 45% now oppose removing President Trump, with only 43% supporting removing President Trump. So it has gone from being at 48% of America supporting the removal of Donald Trump through impeachment to 43% of the American people in support of impeachment. So they are doing a ton of damage to their brand as a Democratic Party and even to their seats in Congress and in the Senate. Because if you think that the American people are fond of their votes being changed by a bunch of egotistical, elitists serving in the legislative branch, they aren't happy about that. The American people know that politicians work for them. And when politicians are trying to use the power that they have been given by the American people to remove a duly elected president, there are many Americans that really don't care if they voted for Trump or not, or if they even like Trump or not. The idea of removing a duly elected president through means of impeachment to override the votes of the American people doesn't really set well, because it kind of has a little bit of an undertone of, authoritarian tyranny, because it doesn't matter what you say. We're going to do what we want. We're going to put people in there that do what we want them to do, regardless of what the American people say about it. Kind of seems like we're on a pathway to authoritarianism a little bit, where the government just has all of this power and control over the people and really don't care what the people have to say about it. But, that's where we're at with the Democratic Party. They have completely rejected all of the ideas of a republic, of a fair election, and they are trying to use elitist methods to remove the president of the United States. And they should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, they're the ones that scream, democracy, democracy. How is this democratic? We're a republic. Of course, we're a republic. But they're the ones that profess to be the ultimate, defenders of democracy. How is this democratic? It's governmental authoritarian removal of a duly elected president. Are you serious? So anyway, we'll be right back after this.
Fighting liberalism one lie at a time. Caden Calgary. Somebody had to say it.
All right, time to take off. Hey Siri, play Caden Calgary.
Playing the Caden Calgary program podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
With Apple CarPlay, I can listen to my favorite podcast on my way to work. Subscribe to the Caden Calgary program podcast on iTunes and listen to the show on demand, day or night. It's great commentary, keeps me informed, and part of my daily routine. It's conservative talk on my schedule, and I don't miss a second of it. Also, be sure to tell your friends. Subscribe to the Caden Calgary program on iTunes today. Now, back to the show.
Caden Calgary. Somebody had to say it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome back. So Joe Biden is hitting the campaign trail, and he recently made a stop in Wilmington, Delaware. And, I got to say, there have been a lot of Joe Biden gaffes over the years. And a lot of creepy stuff that he's done, ranging from playing with little girls' hair to sniffing the hair of a government official's wife as he's giving a speech, and surrounded by members of the press with all the cameras directed at that area, covering the entire awkward occasion. And anyway, none of that really compares to the bizarre words uttered by Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware. No idea what the heck this is about.
Here I saw that made me aware when I was in law school. Proudly for Holloway. Proudly for your dad. First African-American state senator in the state of Delaware. Everything about. And by the way, I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
What in the world was that? What was that? I love kids jumping. What? So he talks about his hairy legs. It goes from hairy legs to kids jumping on his lap, to kids feeling his legs. Talking about how these kids just were thrills up his legs. What a creep. This is the front runner for the Democrats. I heard that he got endorsed by NAMBLA. I don't know if that means anything, but, that's Joe Biden. So, celebrity endorsement from NAMBLA. Good for Joe. So, anyway, guys, so that's what politics has come to in America, where we have evolved the conversation from policy to talking about kids playing with your leg hair on the campaign trail. And the Democrats think that they have a phenomenal chance at winning in 2020. And remember, Joe Biden is the only guy that even has a slight chance of beating Donald Trump. That should tell you something. I mean, my gosh, what? How do you even talk about this? There's no substance here. There's no policy here. There's just plain weirdness. It's weird. And people see this. They are taken back by how uncomfortable these moments are. It's just a bunch of brainless stuff that's going on now. There's nothing substantive here. And even with the Democrats and the rhetoric that they are spewing, it is solely based on opinion, not substantiated by anything. They don't talk about how they're going to benefit the American people, how they're going to benefit the economy, how they're going to bring jobs back. According to Obama, back when he was president and Trump was talking about bringing manufacturing jobs back into the United States, Obama said, "What, do you have a magic wand? Yeah, you have a magic wand? Is that it?" And then here Trump, he waves his little trumpety doodle-doo wand, and here they all come back. Is through the tariff program. And, a lot of conservatives were in opposition to tariffs. And while I understand that it's been kind of tough on Wall Street and stocks haven't been, just like recently, Trump said something a few days ago about how we may not have a deal until after the first of this year. I wish he'd stop doing stuff like that because stocks did go down. But still, we are seeing manufacturing jobs coming back into this country because of the policies that he's implemented. And we relied on tariffs for years until we decided to implement the income tax. That was our main source of income, tariffs. So, I think it's a traditional way of generating revenue. I think it's a more fair way of taxation, to be honest with you, than a lot of the other taxes that we have in this country. So, that's been Trump's policy, and it's worked. And you take all of the policies that President Trump has implemented, where we have the highest stock market ever, where we have the best economy ever. We're the number one economy in the world. I mean, we are doing so well as a nation, where we have 3.4% unemployment. We have record low unemployment in the black community, in the Latino community. And you mean to tell me that they are going to vote that out? Are you serious? And the best that they can do is Joe Biden, where the platform of his entire campaign is about children rubbing his leg and playing with his leg hair and watching it raise up in the water? Are you sick? What is wrong with you? What's wrong with people? This is proof that the Democrats' core base are a bunch of mentally disturbed individuals. When the guy that's in the front of your campaign, that is the front runner in your campaign, is clearly displaying some cognitive problems, and that's the guy that you're choosing to represent your party, what does that tell you? That tells you that if you're electing a guy with cognitive problems, that you probably have an electorate that suffers from some cognitive problems. Okay? I mean, they've just completely suffered from Trump derangement syndrome to a degree of where it has just driven them mad. And that's not going to be relatable to independents and to moderates. They're going to vote Republican, and we're going to return to a position of normality. And that can't be offered with any of the other Democratic candidates. Can't even be offered with Biden. Biden is a liberal. And if Biden wants to win the election, that means that he will have to pander to the liberal vote, which means that he'll be crazier than what he is now. I mean, it's a bleak future for the Democratic Party. But it's good news for us because with only 43% of the American people now supporting impeachment, where it has dropped from 48% approval to 43% approval. I mean, guys, we're going to win in 2020. Not only are we going to win in 2020, we're going to maintain the Senate, and we're also going to gain the House back. So it's great for us, very optimistic for us, but very bleak for the Democrats. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for listening to us. For more information on the Caden Calgary program, you can go to CadenCalgaryProgram.com. And for the latest news exposing the left, go to CalgaryNation.com. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for a wonderful 9 years. God bless you and God save this nation.